Hello, everyone. My name is Sergey Kosteyev. I'm assistant teaching professor at Department of Politics at Drexel, and I will say a few words about foreign lobbying in the United States. Foreign lobbying in the United States is regulated by two acts: Foreign Agents Registration Act. As of now, after a bunch of amendments, it requires anyone who represents interests of foreign political parties or foreign governments to register with Foreign Agents Registration Unit with the Justice Department. Another act is Lobbying Disclosure Act. It requires, basically speaking, like foreign private interests to register with Secretary of the Senate and Clerk of the House of Representatives. And those laws at somewhat loosely enforced. One of the most notorious cases we have seen, for example, during first Trump administration, Mike Flynn, his foreign policy advisor, he failed to disclose his representation of Turkish government. As a lobbyist, and then he got into some legal trouble for that. In terms of enforcement of Lobbying Disclosure Act, the way it works now, district attorney for District of Columbia makes random samples from reports, and if he or she finds any discrepancies in reports, then they make a request for people who made mistakes to correct them. In terms of success of foreign lobbying, what we know from the literature, we know a few things. Usually, if a country which tries to advance its interests in United States, if it has like close military alliances with the United States, they have more chances of success. If relations are more on the like competition or even adversarial relations, then in this case, foreign interests from those countries, they usually have less success in the United States. We also know that political regimes matter somewhat. Democracies usually have more chances of success than dictatorships. But it differs by administration. Currently, we see that during Trump administration, Trump is very fond of dictators. They, I guess, have more chances of success now than they had under other administrations. One thing, though, in terms of making foreign relations and foreign policy, American president is still limited by Congress. We see, for example, when at some point Trump stopped providing intelligence to Ukraine, there was like uproar in Congress, and he had to like resume it. So American presidents, they have lots of power in terms of how they implement foreign policy, but they're still somewhat limited by Congress. Economic relations between states is also a major factor. If countries have more trade, then chances of success are higher. Again, during Trump administration is somewhat different. The role of ethnic lobby. If a particular country has a strong lobby within the United States, ethnic lobby, they usually have more chances of advancing their interest. One of the examples would be, for example, Jewish lobby in the United States. They have few very politically active organizations which are functioning in this country, and it makes easier for Israel to advance its interest in this country. Another example would be Armenian lobby. It's a country in former Soviet Union, but the problem for them, they do have several very active organizations, but problem for them in terms of advancing their interests, they only care about one issue, which is genocide in Turkey. They don't seem to be interested in helping like country of Armenia. and that's kind of interesting case. And yeah, like relations between different kinds of relations between ethnic lobby. Jewish lobby is somewhat close to Israel, and Armenian lobby is kind of distant from Armenia. And let's talk about Russian lobbying in the United States. The thing I'm like know a few things about. And the way we know about this is from public disclosure, from Lobbying Disclosure Act and from Foreign Agents Registration Act. What we have seen so far is that Russian lobbying represents kind of mirrors Russian history. So from when Soviet Union collapsed in 1999, Russian economy, Soviet economy was in shambles. And what happened during that period of time, many entities in Russia, they were seeking any kind of funding from the United States. We saw in the registration reports, we saw lots of city governments, state governments hiring consultants in Washington and trying to ask for money from United States. Then when Russian economy became market economy, kind of stable, we saw increase in non-governmental lobbying. We saw several cases when Russian companies which do trade with the United States. Uh, One of the cases, for example, would be steel companies, Russian steel companies, which export steel to the United States. When the United States opened anti-dumping investigations, claiming that Russia used like unfair practices when it exported its steel to the United States. Then Russian companies hired consultants in Washington trying to deal with those anti-dumping investigations in DC. And during that period of time, we have seen numerous cases of private companies trying to defend their interests. And during that period of time, we saw lots of new contacts between the United States and Russia, which resulted in increase in number of private companies which have been trying to advance their interests in the United States. And then we see a period from 2004. Putin came to power in 2000, but the way we see it in lobbying reports, from 2004, we saw nationalization of lobbying. Since that period of time, a company, if it had any kind of international strategy, that company had to make sure that Vladimir Putin was okay with that strategy of advancing their interests. And as a result, we saw a major decline in number of private companies which tried to defend or represent their interests in Washington. And one of the few successful cases during that period of time, in the short period when Dmitry Medvedev was Russian president, he was able to establish good relations with President Obama, and during that period of time, Russian company Rosatom, which was exporting uranium to United States, it waged a lobbying campaign for like almost a decade to have an agreement with the U.S. government and to increase its ability to export uranium to the United States. They hired a bunch of lobbying firms, and at some point during good relations between Obama and Medvedev, they have been able to reach agreement on civil nuclear cooperation between Russia and the United States. By the way, it's still intact. It's still working, which allowed Rosatom to export more uranium to the United States. And after Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, what we see in the reports is mostly about trying to get rid of sanctions. And let's have a look. As you remember, we have two sources of like official information on this stuff. If you look at Lobbying Disclosure Act reports, which are available at senate.gov, everybody can look at them. We see that a union of oil and gas producers of Russia is having contracts with consulting companies in DC, trying to lift American sanctions on Russian oil and gas. Another source of information is, again, Foreign Agents Registration Act data. Here we see a few interesting cases. Again, they represent current state of Russian-American relations. We see Roman Abramovich. He is a wealthy Russian who made his wealth during Boris Yeltsin in the 1990s, and currently he is a close ally of Vladimir Putin. At some point, 3 years ago, he was trying to negotiate a peace agreement between Russia and Ukraine, and he decided that hiring a consulting firm in America would be useful in this pursuit. And interestingly, this registration is still active. In FIRE, you can look up like historical registration and also active registrations. These are active registrations. Again, we see this union of oil and gas producers. By the way, in my view, they filed it by mistake with FARA. FARA requires only registration from from people who represent foreign governments and foreign political parties. So they did the legal obligation by disclosing relations through Lobbying Disclosure Act. They didn't have to do it here in FARA. And a few other cases. Eduard Khudainatov, he is a wealthy Russian billionaire. He's part owner of Rosneft, the largest Russian oil company. And in this case, he's trying to lift sanctions from his yacht, which was placed under arrest by the US government after Russia invaded Ukraine. And this Congress of People Deputies, it's an organization which represents Russian members of parliament, and they again trying to lift sanctions imposed after Russian invasion of Ukraine. Interestingly, we see one case of removal from sanctions, and we get this information from Office of Foreign Assets Control. Karina Yurievna Rottenberg. She is a wife of Boris Rottenberg, close friend of Vladimir Putin. We didn't see anything in Lobbying Disclosure. My understanding, it happened during recent negotiations between Trump and Putin administration regarding Ukraine, and I guess the only result is at the moment that wife of friend of Putin got removed from U.S. Sanctions lists, and I guess she now can travel to United States. Thank you very much for your attention.